Have you ever been using an AI, you ask it a question, and the answer you get back is just weird? You're kind of left scratching your head wondering, where on earth did it pull that from? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and find out. We're diving into how these incredible, and sometimes just plain bizarre systems, actually learn. Let's get right into it.
So picture this. You ask a chatbot something, and this is the answer you get. I mean, it sounds super confident, doesn't it? Almost plausible even. But yeah, it's definitely not something you remember from history class. This is a perfect example of an AI going just a little bit off the rails.
So that's the big question, right? Why would a machine, a thing that's supposed to be all about pure logic, just invent this random connection between pirates and accountants? The answer isn't some spark of creativity or a wild imagination. Nope. It's actually a lot simpler than you'd think.
It all comes down to what I like to call the AI's digital diet. Seriously, just like the food we eat shapes our bodies and our health, the information an AI consumes, well, it completely shapes its entire understanding of the world. And that diet, it has a technical name.
It's called training data. This is, quite literally, everything the AI reads to learn. And we're not talking about a couple of encyclopedias here. We're talking about a vast, almost unimaginable ocean of text. Now, the key thing to remember is that an AI doesn't think like a person. It just gets incredibly, unbelievably good at finding patterns in all that data.
To really get a handle on this, let's look at a real-world example. It's a famous data set that researchers put together, and it has the perfect name for what it is. They call it the pile.
Okay, so the pile contains 825 gigabytes of text. Now, I know that number on its own is just a number. It's hard to really picture what that means. So let's try to put that into perspective. 825 gigabytes is the same amount of information as reading over 1.5 million books. Can you imagine? It's a completely impossible task for any human, right? But for a large language model, it's just another day at the office. The sheer scale is just mind-blowing.
And this isn't just one kind of information. Oh no, the pile is built from 22 totally different sources. You've got dense academic papers, you've got web content from all over the place, tons of books, software code, even logs of conversations. It's this super diverse diet that gives the AI such a broad knowledge of so many different subjects. But, and this is a huge but, here's the catch. While that digital diet is incredibly diverse, it's also really messy. Because at the end of the day, the quality of what an AI gives you depends entirely on the quality of the data it's been fed.
You see, in a perfect world, we'd feed AI this pristine, perfectly curated diet of only factual, unbiased, and respectful information. But the reality? The reality is that its training data is basically a snapshot of the internet. And the internet has all of it, not just the sum of human knowledge, but also all of our misinformation, our worst stereotypes, and yeah, our toxicity too.
So when the AI is learning patterns, it learns all the patterns. It sees gender stereotypes repeated in millions of job descriptions and just assumes that's normal. It absorbs racial biases from decades of news articles. It picks up on historical myths. It gets trapped in political echo chambers, and it learns that some cultures are just written about way more than others. This all comes down to a classic old-school rule from the very beginnings of computer science. Garbage in, garbage out. It's that simple. So, when an AI gives you a weird or a biased or just a plain wrong answer, it's not that the AI is broken. It's actually working perfectly. It's just perfectly reflecting the garbage data we gave it in the first place. And this is where it gets really interesting. This stops being a purely technical problem. You start to realize that when we look at the flaws in an AI, what we're really getting is a good hard look at the flaws in our own collective information, in ourselves. The best way to think of it is like this. AI is a mirror, a giant mirror held up to humanity. It doesn't have its own beliefs, it doesn't have opinions, it simply reflects the vast, messy, brilliant, and deeply biased world of human knowledge it was trained on. It reflects us, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
This is exactly why the work of organizations like the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered AI is so crucial. Their AI Index project, for example, is all about tracking and understanding this data. The whole mission is to try and clean up the data we feed these systems, to guide their growth more thoughtfully, and ultimately to build a better, more accurate reflection.
And that really leaves us with a final and pretty powerful question. An AI's weird or biased output is just a symptom. It's not the actual disease. So if we see bias or misinformation or just plain ugliness in that reflection, we have to ask ourselves, what part of our own digital world, what part of ourselves
do we need to fix first?